We are
Didi
and Arma, and in our daily lives we support people on the path of self-liberation. We teach time-tested energy skills like Qigong, Tai Chi, internal alchemy, traditional nutrition and meditation.
We help people release stagnation, build energy, and become aligned with themselves and their purpose in life.
In this podcast, we share the methods, skills, and solutions that helped us, our students, and now hopefully you move forward.
Let's explore transformation together.
Today we are answering a question. The question is, and we get this one all the time, is, now I feel energy, but what do I do with this energy? What's the next step? So let's explore that in this podcast. But before we do that, let's stand still a moment by how beautiful that question really is and what already shifted, right, Didi? There's such a major shift happening at that point.
Yeah, because if somebody asked the question, now I feel energy, wow, that's a major shift.
That's major.
I mean, most of us live pure in the physical world. We know, for me, it's like what we've learned in school. It stops where you can touch.
Exactly.
But that there's something more in you and beyond you.
And about you.
You. That's still you. And that you start exploring that. That's a new... You go into a new domain.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So I think it's even that step, even that first initial, I now can feel energy. There's a major shift in that.
Absolutely.
But the next step that we take, it's the whole body pore breathing.
Absolutely, because most people start sensing this energy between the hands. It's like there's a feeling there, and there's a magnet, and there's exercises online that you can maybe find, and you stumbled upon maybe one of our videos, and you start exploring with that, and you have this feeling. But it starts with the hands because the hands are so sensitive, right? We use them the whole time, but the next step is that we start awakening the whole energy body. Yeah. So we start moving from what is between the hands and what we can feel and sense there to awakening the whole energy body and feeling this bubble, this aliveness everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's, again, a complete different shift when that's when you realize, or for most people when they come in, it's when they realize, it's not something external that I can touch. Like in between the hands, you can maybe have this thing that it's outside of you and you can touch. But when it's a whole body pore breathing, now it's something that's you.
Oh, wow. And that's so major. Yeah. So this whole body pore breathing, vital breathing as it's called as well. When we have people in and... Of course, we start with the building the ball exercise first when people come in. But the next step, the vital breathing, we start doing that for maybe half an hour or something. Yeah. And we start building it up and exploring all regions of the body step by step. And the whole room starts to change. People start to change. And you hear people sighing and you hear sort of a relief. You see these eyes widening. You see... The whole room starts vibrating on a different frequency, and that's such a beautiful thing. So, just doing the pore breathing in and out of the pores, in and out of pores, moving energy in and out. So the vitality comes up. You see color in their faces happening. The body starts shifting, starts opening more. That's just a beautiful thing. But this foundational exercise for awakening the whole energy body starts becoming a multi-tool for so many exercises we're doing. So really the first thing when you start feeling energy is learning this vital breathing, because that is your door into high-level energy work. Yeah,
absolutely.
And so that's the next step we take after that. Yeah. So how do we take this concept and apply that to all these different things? And so the first thing we really want to do, and this is already happening, right? It's like when we start moving energy, there's a release happening. So releasing is a major word here. Releasing is one of the main pillars, really, of Qigong training is releasing, song, transforming something from one state to another. And this means, in this case, from tension to space and release and relaxation in...
And I think because we've talked a lot about physical, and you see physical tension, we're still very focused on the body and the physical body. But now, and this is such a great thing from Energywork, now you have this different layer around you where there is space, where you can go beyond your own body, physical body. And when you start releasing,
there's just more space to release into, to dissolve this tension into. So exploring song, of course, also on the physical means we're going from muscle to tendon changing. So when we start opening the elastic body, there's more room for the muscle to just relax into and find their place again. But when we start adding energy, this layer around us, there's just more space, like Didi just said. And this whole song process takes on a totally different meaning. So when we look in Tai Chi, when we're talking about Chi, etc., it's all about song. It's all about opening a fantastic, beautiful, elastic structure, but dissolving this in space, and more space. And when we move up to the vibrational scale, so in this case we go from the physical to the vital energy plateau, there's just an increase of space we're starting to dissolve into. And this leads us to all sorts of adventures where we are starting to explore more space and more stillness, because stillness, let's talk about that as well, because out of this pore breathing and out of this releasing, there's just a byproduct when we tune into this frequency.
Absolutely. And I think, and it's also when we're here with groups working on these things, well, you said it before, the whole room starts to change, but there's so much more stillness. People start to look different out of their eyes. It's their whole face gets more relaxed into a different... People really get into a different state doing this.
Totally.
And stillness is such a beautiful byproduct, or maybe it's the main thing that you're searching for.
Yes.
Because there's so much coming from this stillness. But that's one of the...
Well, we're shifting from a more like what we're normally used to, like from a reactive state, like a mental state. This is really a mental state we're talking about. We start shifting from this reactive state, the smaller state, the lower mental state, to an observing state. Right? So there's a major mental shift happening here when we start, and that already happens when you feel this energy between the hands. You know, going back to where we started this podcast, notice this, when you're feeling this energy between the hands, that the increase of stillness around you, the increase of focus around you, explore that one. You know, you have the feeling, but you have the stillness at the same time. So cultivating stillness is one of the big things in Taoism also, is where we're looking for, you know, it's a spiritual path. We just become stiller and stiller and stiller. And out of this stillness, new realms start to open.
Yeah.
Right? But taking it back now to vital energy, that's sort of our first door into the stillness. But also it demands a stillness in the physical body with the least amount of, you know, distraction and noise there, which we of course have talked about a lot. But built upon that plateau, the energy work is going to even help that process become more efficient as well. So I hope that one hits home here, right? So it's going to help anything that comes before it as well. We're just climbing a ladder here. So physical, vital, opens the door to metaphysical training, and stuff starts happening. But the stillness is so important. That's why we start focusing all these releasing exercises, because releasing means we're clearing noise out of the system. Less noise and less noise and less noise. And well, it's so beautiful, right? So on the first day, you know, you see people, because we're also trained in a park, right? So first we're inside, and then we're working on that just to focus on this feeling. But then you feel it's like, oh, there's a tree and there's a plant, right? We see this shift with people.
And it's you're talking about our 5-day workshop here. Of course, because we're training in groups, it's also that you feel your own energy field. but now, because we do this partner training, you can feel somebody else's.
Absolutely.
So now you can feel, where's that energy? Because now you start to understand, what are these people talking about? Tai Chi and... but now you have this different tool. You can feel someone before they actually touch you. They touch you in your energy field.
Yes.
And a beautiful thing. So there's this realization starting to happen.
There's this vital plateau that you're becoming so much more aware of, because you're linking towards your own vital energy, and now there's a tree, there's another person, and that's just a shift in your reality. That's huge, really huge, and it also becomes sort of more of like a sort of a measuring device, also for how does this feel or how does that feel on that level, instead of on your reactivity, your mental reactivity. There's just more space.
I just remember someone who was here last year, and when he found out this feeling, and he really got into understanding his own energy body, and then he just went into the park and he wanted to feel everything. He was just so excited. He really stepped through that door, and beautiful, because it felt like he came back to something.
Yes.
It was not something new. It was something that he remembered, or that was locked into his DNA. But now it came out, and he was as if he experienced the world in a new light. And he's in
his 70s, right? He was in his 70s.
And he was just...
such a beautiful thing, like a homecoming. Yeah.
And he could feel the trees, and he could feel all the plants, and he could feel different people. And so it was just like, it was amazing. I mean, it's such a great honor to actually be part of that and see those transformations into someone.
Just beautiful.
So there's and we've only just started doing this. It's the first step into
vital
Energywork.
breathing, and just more vitality, more connection, more release. Well, from there, of course, we're gonna go into other exercises that are more specific on certain things, moving vital energy in and out of the bone marrow, doing deep cleansing there has a beautiful effect. Because we store a lot, right?
Yeah.
And this and a lot of that can be stored also into the bone marrow. So what we want to do, we want to really clear out anything there. So any stress and stickiness that's around a person, we're gonna move energy in and out of this bone marrow and go deep for deep cleansing. And when you start doing that, there's even a deeper effect and a lightness that people explore. It's like, I always say, it's like opening two windows opposite each other, right? Doing bone marrow breathing is like clearing everything, clearing the room. So people, things can get unstuck on a very, very deep and profound level. Yeah. So that's one of the things we're doing, but you still use pore breathing for that. You just go deeper. You just, right? So all sorts of releasing exercises is what we're starting with. But you will notice soon that also a lot of vitality is going to be accumulated around you. Yeah. And now you can use the bone marrow also to store energy short term and say, okay, I have in the morning, you have a day ahead of you, and you're like, okay, I'm going to do this. This is my goal for this day. And you store some energy. You don't have to do a lot of that, but you store it. And then you use that up for the whole day. And still we're using pore breathing as a tool to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, and I think when you release stuff, there's more space. There's more space for anything to happen. So there's space for more energy, but there is now also more space already. Although we're maybe on the next plateau, there's more to explore there, but there's even more space to make different choices in your life.
Oh yeah, talk about that. That's really good. Yeah.
So when there is more space, even in the physical, we talked about that in an earlier podcast. If there's more space in the body, there's releases going on. Now you're on this different frequency. you go beyond that, and there's already stuff going on. And in what I see, it gives you more energy to make that different choice, to not get into a certain situation, to maybe make different choices around your food.
Because you're going to feel that more, because you're tuned into energy, and you're going to feel the effect of the food so much more direct. But
if I look into my own experience, every time life is showing you what needs to be cleaned up first. I mean, this is kind of what has the biggest impact at this particular moment, and then while doing this, you have the energy to take it on and to go and work on that. So
energy. So we're creating space and more relaxation, etc. But what we're also doing is we're vitalizing our awareness, our focus, and this becomes more like you're measuring. It's like, so where's my focus today? And you're going to feel threatened by some stuff. You feel like, oh, my focus went down. What happened with my vitality? So this measuring device is like, okay, it's going to set you up for, okay, I'm not going to go that way anymore, because my focus goes down and my unawareness goes up, right? So at a certain point, something takes over, and you want to just remain in this state of focus more and more, because this stillness, this is where your true being comes out. Okay, so this releasing and all this vital breathing, etc., gets you into more focus, into more stillness, makes you more aware. Well, a next step, what we're also talking about, is how to move energy. Or you're already moving energy in and out, right? But you can also use the energy to clear your system in different ways, through pathways. And this is going to make a lot of sense, because the engine for that is the lower dantian. We teach people how to move the energy from the lower dantian with the stretch in the fluid of the energy. And this is going to make a lot of sense also for people who do Tai Chi, or have already been doing certain Qigong sequences where up until that point they might have been moving their arms, or it's more of an external experience with maybe some warmth and heat and flow. But this one takes on a completely different level, right? Because you're in this frequency of vital energy, and you start moving the fluid. And this is just a beautiful thing, because everything that moves flows, and if it flows, it's you just feel better. And so for the health aspect of the training, learning how to move your vitality, because we're still talking about that, is just crucial, right? For internal training.
Again, it's when I see people here sitting and doing that exercise for the first time, or even the second time. It's like they experience their whole body in a different way. It's like, there is you can see that there's a mystery unfold. Yeah. It's you get that reconnection with your body, and while you're consciously moving that energy through your body and feeling the sensations. Wow. I'm talking about it, but it's all in the experience, of course. It's just the changes that you see and that I've experienced myself while doing it. It's like, wow. You're a super being, really, that there is so much more beyond that what we normally learn in school. So,
Yeah, people start also, like, if they're into the meridian thing, and so they start exploring that, and it feels like, I feel this meridian, and I can clear this one, and your whole Qigong takes on a new level. Also for Tai Chi practitioners, you see that as well. You know, it's like, okay, they do their forms and say, okay, move the energy that way in your form, and like, wow, it all starts making sense, and becomes like a mold for the form. It's like, there it goes, and that way, and there's my dantian. So everything you've read about until that point just starts making sense, right?
Absolutely.
And next thing we're exploring, so little recap, we've talked about awakening, moving energy in and out of the fascia. Then we went to releasing strategies. Then we started moving energy with the dantian, a microcosmic orbit, things like that. Now, the next step would be balancing energy. Because this sets up for next level practice. Yeah. And we do that with element work. So what we're going to do, different regions of the body connect to the elements, and we start working with elements just to strengthen them. So we're doing pore breathing with fire element, with air element, with water element, and earth elements. So the regions, the head, fire, and here's air, and here's water, and then the lower part is earth. And we start moving energy there, building vitality, and this sets up next level practice.
Absolutely.
Right? So vital energy, this plateau, sets up for the next level, which would be astral practice, or moving towards chi. And this demands a transformation. We call that the first transformation. We go from vital energy, slowing it down into chi, and now we start coming to the astral body.
Yeah. Now we're going into the real work.
Real work, yeah. So what do we mean by real work? Well, I think that we can shortly explore that, because what we're doing with the vital energy is just setting up. We're releasing, moving energy, creating flow, creating space, creating more stillness. But when we start moving into chi and slowing everything down, we can connect to the soul. And what's happening there is that we can really go into the things that are really stuck on that level. Yeah. So, it's a hard drive. Everything that have experienced so far is stored there, but this has created habits, patterns, how you deal with energy, how you see yourself. It has a memory, it has trauma. So for the deeper healing stuff, we need to be able to get there, but we do that through first going through the steps of vital energy. Yeah. From vital energy, we tune into that, and then we're going to explore that and do elements work there, do lots of things. Everything takes on a new meaning. On the bottom, we're just creating more openness, etc. So we're dealing with the symptoms that we're having. We're just relaxing more, creating more space in the body. But that really goes to the beginning of everything. It's the source of your, what's stuck in the system. Yeah,
it's in between. Everything.
Everything, yeah. And this becomes an exploration, and we can climb higher. But that's for future podcasts. That's too much for now to go into detail. But see it as more as like you're setting up a foundation, releasing energy, moving energy, balancing energy, strengthening the elements, and then move towards the next level and do the work there. Because this is what Didi said, it's the real work, not everyone is maybe ready for that in the beginning, but for the serious people, they start recognizing as like, I have to clean up my house, and that you do that in the astral body.
It's even clean up your ancestral traumas, the what comes back into your life in different ways, time and time again.
Patterns. Where are you holding yourself back? Yeah. Where are you sabotaging yourself?
Yeah, and it's going very deep into even things that been carried around your family or in the systems that you
all the conditioning that you've experienced so far. Yeah, it's stored there.
But even because today we're actually not talking about
We're not talking about that. Yeah.
We're just pointing it out that's even beyond what we're talking about today. But without this work, without going to the physical and to the vital, it's very hard to do the next step.
Yeah. We have to create space for it, and we have to be ready for it. Yeah. And it's a beautiful, beautiful process. But I think that's a good one to explore in later podcasts. Yeah. For now, I hope you have a much better idea of where to start when you start feeling energy. First learn pore breathing, etc., and then learn all these exercises. And
if you're curious what kind of exercises we're talking about, they're actually, most of them are in the Core Essentials Qigong course.
Yeah, it's made for this level training. Although also the first transformation is already in there. Yeah. But the foundational stuff, physical, vital, building the ball, all the exercises we've been talking about, they're in there. So
So
if you're interested in that, check that one out. And Well, we thank you for your time and happy training.
Happy training. I see you in the next one.
Yep.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.